You're listening to 91.3 FM, WCUW in Worcester, Massachusetts, the Dr. Chris Radio Horror Show. If you're not listening to the Radio Horror Show on 91.3, hopefully you're catching us on our YouTube channel where we stick all of our interviews as well as other silly things that we do here in the show, like an upcoming review of the Hatchet films. But right now, we're going to be interviewing a cosplayer all the way up north in Canada. We have Lily Spitfyre on the show with us. Thank you for coming on the show with us, Lily.
Hello, hi.
And you are all the way in Canada, right? You're from the Ontario area.
I'm actually further north than your average Canadian. I live about 6, 7 hours north of Toronto in the middle of the bush, but I go to Toronto conventions most of the time for cosplay stuff. So that's where I get to know people.
Gotcha. And I discovered you from where I'm trying to remember how I came upon it, but one of your pictures had popped up of you dressed as the Mistress of the Dark of the Macabre and the silly god awful films that she reviews, Elvira. In your Elvira cosplay, and I was like, oh, well, I need to have this girl on the show now.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Where did you get your start in your cosplay career before we get to my favorite look of yours?
So I started, oh gosh, probably 10 years ago now because I am an old bat. And I had a terrible first cosplay, like every cosplayer does. It involved using electrical duct tape to hem a skirt and repurposing a children's fire helmet as a shoulder pad. And it was terrible. And I hate seeing photos of it still, but it made me laugh. I was the comedian from Watchmen, but it was a ton of fun. And I've been dressing up ever since. A ton of people liked it, even though it was baby's first cosplay. But now that I think about it, over the last 10 years, cosplay really has changed. And there wasn't that expectation to be perfect in your first try. So I hope people that get into the hobby now are remembering that as well when they put their first efforts forward.
Did you ever dress up in any type of cosplay or costumes when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, I took Halloween very, very seriously, and I started the cosplay. Isn't just dressing up. Cosplay is dressing up with an obscene dedication to something that you're like, oh, why would somebody make a costume of that? Okay, cool, that exists. So like I was the kid in the third grade that was like, Mother, for Halloween, I would like to be the Egyptian cat goddess of the dead, please. And my mom was like, you know what? Okay, find me a reference picture. We'll figure it out. And I think that's kind of what started it is I didn't care that all the other girls were being princesses. I had what I wanted to make, and I didn't care that nobody knew what I wanted because I would fully explain to people every door that I went to, and they're like, okay, kid, here's your candy.
I didn't ask for the life story. I just wanted to hear trick or treat.
Oh, yeah, I'm good at the verbal diarrhea. People in Canada are very good at telling you your whole life story for just no reason at all.
Now, do you do this as a career full time, being a model and a cosplayer?
I try not to. I would really like to get out and do more conventions and events and things now that I have my life kind of settled out after I graduated university. But it is not my full time career.
Mm-hmm.
This year, I'm going to try and attend to maybe 3 conventions and maybe do a couple photo shoots in between. But other than that, it takes me a while to make a costume because I have a full time job as a kind of like food processing inspector type thing. And I basically just tell people to wear hairnets a lot. And it involves a lot of travel because I drive all over the province and it's really cool, but it doesn't leave much time for sewing when for example, I'm calling you today from a hotel room because I've spent the last 12 days in a hotel room and I live in hotels basically.
The life of an international superstar, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I get to scope out which ones are good, and actually, by coincidence, this weekend I'm staying in a town in Ontario that's having a small local con. It's really cute, and I stopped by, or I kind of like did a drive by real quick, and it seems really cute. Saw some signs, saw a couple cosplayers. I didn't have anything with me, but I wanted to drop by and see kind of how that was going. But my next major attempt at a convention won't be until probably May So I probably should start now, said every cosplayer ever.
Pick 3 cosplays that you've done, and just explain a little bit about how long, like, a process of one of them can take, from the simplest to the most complicated.
Okay, so for a relatively simple one, we'll go with Elvira. I'm not professionally trained with sewing at all. I'm kind of naturally artistically inclined, but I haven't taken any sewing lessons or anything. So I, for that one, for example, I used a pattern for the dress, but then I altered it to look more like Elvira's dress. So I actually ran into a convention, or at a convention, I ran into a cosplayer who used the same pattern for a completely different cosplay. I think it was a Daenerys one. And I looked at her dress for like a minute or two and I went, "Did you use blah, 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 blah pattern?" And she goes, "Yeah. Did you do?" And then we just stood there comparing dress notes for a couple minutes. Two completely different characters wearing essentially the same dress. And that probably took me a month or two in my spare time, um, mostly just sewing and distressing it and things like that. I tend to work in spurts, so sometimes stuff will get done real fast, and sometimes stuff will get put down for 3 months. Um, but that one, I kind of had a deadline of Halloween area time that I wanted to take photos in the area that I live. It's really beautiful for the leaves changing in October. And coincidentally, I found an abandoned hearse in the forest. So I'm like, I gotta time this out right. I gotta finish this costume. And I got it done in about a month and a half. But for my most complex costume would probably be my barbarian from Diablo 3, which really was awesome to present and compete in at Fan Expo in Toronto. I think I won Best Gaming and Best Novice for that. And it was kind of a good validation of a couple of years of trying to compete and not really getting anywhere. And then finally, oh, here you go. Pat on the head. You're the best of the newbies. And that took maybe 8, 9 months to put together and was basically a big suit of Warblow with a big Warblow axe back when Warblow was brand new. And basically nobody knew how to make armor except Kamui, and she didn't have any books yet. She just had her blog. And I have spent a lot of time reading stuff on the internet, old tutorials on Tumblr and DeviantArt. And yeah, it took the better part of a year to do, but it was a ton of fun. And I might do another kind of rehash of it soon because I play Overwatch. And I just saw that they came out with a Zarya skin that is a tribute to the Diablo Barbarian. And they're similar enough that I could modify a lot of it. I'd still have to create a good ton of it, which would be fun for me, but I feel like I want to wear it again, kind of as this Zarya character, and I'm really looking forward to that. So that's what I might be rocking in May at Anime North. We shall see. And as for the third one, like a middle ground, what's a good popular one? Like I did a Jessica Rabbit that should have been simple, but I was working with some sequin fabric that was just a pain in the butt to deal with because I had reached the point in my cosplay career where I'm like, should I invest in equipment, or is this just a hobby and I'm good using a $50 Walmart sewing machine? So I'm glad that I did invest in better equipment now so that Jessica Rabbit doesn't happen again, in that it won't take me so freaking long to make such a simple dress. So it's a learning curve. They all kind of get a little quicker to put together, but they all I like to tackle new techniques and things to do with each costume. If it's prop building, if it's sewing, if it's wig making or modeling or whatever, I like to vary it up and say, hey, I want to try that. So this year might be the year of big headdresses for me, maybe, for example. That's something I've been thinking about.
I've had what's the right way to call her? She's the dancing body double for Jessica Rabbit on my show before. Her name is her name is Chris as well. I forgot her last name, but she actually lives here in Massachusetts, and she was in she's a professionally trained dancer. She was Shawnee Satsu in the Clive Barker movie Nightbreed. Um, and she was the dancing model for Jessica Rabbit when she struts across stage.
Oh, I want to learn how to do that perfectly.
Well, her being a
First of all,
cartoon
I want legs
character.
that long.
Lily?
Yep.
Oh,
So
okay.
here's our.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, I want legs that long.
Well, I saw your quote from Elvira where she says, "But if they ever ask about me, tell them I was more than just a great set of boobs. I was also an incredible set of legs."
That's why I love Elvira so much. Is she's cheesy, she's corny, she's. I love female characters who are in total awareness of what their bodies look like and they're okay with it, and they use it to their advantage, disadvantage, what have you. I see Elvira in the same vein as Power Girl. Like she's got big boobs, she knows it. She's gonna let the world react how it's gonna react, and that's kind of how I live it. Because I feel like every time I meet a person, that's a like outside of a professional context, that's like the first thing that rolls out of their mouth. And
Is
it happens a lot of conventions, and I'm just like, yep, I'm aware. They're there. They're right there. They're under my nose. Yeah.
what do you mean the first thing out of their mouth is what that you have big boobs?
Yeah. And Elvira doesn't skirt around it, so I love that about her. And I thought I really got to do this character justice. And anything that's campy and cheesy is totally up my alley. Anything like when I decorate my house for Halloween, it's like a spooky, scary skeletons kind of decorating the house. It's not serious. It's not kid Halloween. It's just kind of like a cheesy, gothy. I don't know. Very, very Elvira inspired, and I have a lot of her influence around my house now. Now that I'm thinking about it,
The we well, I saw that one, and then I saw the one where you say you're in like normal, you're in a normal look, whether with your normal hair, and says to anyone worried that Elvira won't have enough cleavage, don't worry, I got you covered. So I thought the two tied in perfectly together.
well, yeah, I had to make sure I again that was a certain type of challenge in its own for cosplay is trying to figure out how to like construct your body into an outfit. And
Yeah,
I
because
don't
a
have
lot
a
of these
perfect
characters,
body. I really wish I did. I know cosplayers who have fantastic bodies and can basically just drape fabric over their most X-rated bits and call it a day. And they sometimes do, and sometimes they put together like fantastically creative, intricate stuff, and both are equally valid and both are awesome. And I love when they do both, and I compliment them on it. I wish I could do that, but I can't. So I have to create an intricate system of girdles and special bras and things like that. And that involved going to Amazon and trying to figure out how the hell do I make my boobs stand up, but also have it so deep that you can see an inch or two below where a normal bra would end, let alone start.
yeah, because a lot of these characters like Jessica Rabbit or Elvira don't really look like they wear a bra so much as it's just like this dress is glued to their body.
Yeah, and the best cosplayers won't just assume that, hey, I got a good body, that'll make up for it. If you really want to imitate that cartoonish look, like Yaya Han did a Jessica Rabbit, and the construction notes on that corset were pages long because she sewed in several different bras and she's already well endowed, but she wanted that cartoonish proportion. And you can't fault a girl with big boobs for wanting to wear a push-up bra any more than you can fault a girl with makeup. Like, so I took notes from that and worked accordingly.
Did you have you ever thought about doing because we're on the lines of like Elvira and Power Girl, and you mentioned like Witchblade or Vampirella?
One day after a lot more exercise, um, I've got like a half put together Lady Death right now.
Oh, and she's got her new Kickstarter going on right now.
I'm thinking of like I've got a lot of various black gothy things to strap to my body, and then a cape and like my gray morph suit ready to go, and some whiteout contact lenses and a gray wig, and pretty much everything. I'm just trying to figure out the body paint situation because I've never worn body paint head to toe, but I do know people who have, so I'm gonna research. And the other situation is I didn't anticipate being in a hotel room so freaking often for work recently. So you eat out a lot, you put more weight on than you think. I'm working on that. we'll see how that goes because Lady Death basically doesn't wear anything. So
No. Lady Death might, that's however you want to kind of do Lady Death. There are certain things that she doesn't wear, and those aren't clothes. So, and it's
yeah,
basically just a bikini with
I figured I
arm.
could get away with a corset, but I already bought the corset and I bought it when I was a little bit thinner than I am right now, and I'm like, darn it, I gotta get back into this. So I'm not unhappy with where I am right now, but if I want to do that kind of cosplay, I gotta get back into better shape because there's certain things that you can't fake when you're Lady Death.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to comment on that, but there are the Witchblade cosplay. She's done that with clothes on too. So if you're worried about
See, the only thing
imaging with
about Witchblade that
Witchblade,
I
she
worry
it's
about is obscurity. But then I've realized over the last couple of years, like I've researched doing a Witchblade cosplay because she, to be honest, has fantastic outfits, and I love it. And any redhead character is totally up my alley. However, I've always been like, oh, what if nobody recognizes me? Because
I think
I
she's more
tend to
of a
pick
brunette
characters that
though.
not a lot of people don't recognize. But then in the last couple of years, doing Elvira, doing Jessica Rabbit, I realized that no, I don't pick obscure characters. I pick up characters that people just don't know that are under 30.
Ah,
And
well,
I went as Elvira or Jessica Rabbit, and I tend to have men and women in their 40s, 50s, 60s coming up to me and being like, "Oh my God, I love this! Thank you so much. Can I take a picture?" And you can tell they're genuinely happy to see a character they love. And yeah, the young girls are happy too. They might be also dressed as Jessica and excited and come up to you. But I'm like, you know what? If I only appeal to the older demographic and make them happy, then great. I don't care. Like, I'm not here to get recognized and get famous. I'm here to basically share my love of the character. And these are characters that genuinely inspire me, no matter how obscure they are.
the Witchblade's recently been kind of revamped. She's a blonde now, and she doesn't really have the whole mystical gauntlet that rips her clothes apart to exposing this porn star looking body that's supposed to be a New York City cop. She's this blonde city working girl. What does she do now? She helps like domestic abuse victims and stuff like that. And it's not Sarah Pazzini, it's New Girl.
Okay, okay, Thor's now a woman, and Captain Marvel is now young and brown or some different race than other than Carol Danvers was.
No, Captain.
Now
Oh no,
Witchblade
no,
is.
Captain Marvel is still Carol Danvers.
Oh wait, then who's?
Miss Marvel. She's
Sorry,
she's
Miss
Muslim.
Marvel.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
she's
got that
Muslim.
misspoke.
And yeah, and the thing about
But I'm
Thor,
just saying, like,
Thor
I can
dies.
tolerate those.
Yeah,
I
Thor
can
dies
tolerate
next
minor
month.
changes in the face of progress. What the hell did they do to Witchblade? They took away the essence of Witchblade.
Well, the thing is well, first of all, Thor dies next month. By the way, her Death of Thor storyline comes to an end.
Yeah, no one
Um,
dies in comics. You know that.
yeah, but Jane Foster can die if she has breast cancer, and there's no cure for breast cancer in the real world, and Marvel would be digging themselves a hole they would never recover from financially if they decided to go, oh, her breast
But they've
cancer
already
is
established
cured.
there's magic in the universe.
No. Jane Foster has real breast cancer in the real world kind of way we think about breast cancer. Like the kind that's gonna kill you. Yeah, I
I
mean,
love comics. I love comics. In the last 5 years, I've found it really hard to keep up with the kind of
well,
what are
and
you guys
also
doing?
think about it. Going back to Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel, the Kree Marvel guy, he did also
Yeah.
die of cancer as well. Cancer that was not curable.
Okay, so we've established that cancer seems to be the only. Did he come back from the dead at any point? Is
No,
what I.
he has never come
Oh,
back from the dead. It's
that's
always
more
been
a
either
DC thing, though, isn't it?
it's always been either time travel or it's been oh wait, he was a scroll the whole time. Which is what they did in the original Civil War series. At the end, it was revealed Captain Marvel's alive. Oh no, he's not. He's actually a scroll. Dope.
Somebody's got to own the scrolls. That's why they haven't shown up yet.
Yeah, they're going to be before the whole Fox bought Disney. Oh, sorry, Disney bought Fox thing that just happened. The Skrulls were going to show up in the Captain Marvel movie and fight Brie Larson.
Nobody has any rights anymore. They all belong to Disney now.
Yeah, but but the thing is, but the thing is that before that whole thing happened, Disney gave Fox the ability to make the X-Men television shows because Disney owned all television and cartoon rights to the X-Men and Fantastic Four. Fox only owned the film rights. And they wanted to make X-Men TV series. So they said, okay, you can have the X-Men TV series, but we want two things. We want Ego the Living Planet, and we want the Skrulls. And that's why Ego was made into Star-Lord's father, and that's why the Skrulls were written into the Captain Marvel script to be part of the kind of an early Secret Invasion storyline involving Captain Marvel in a green costume, by the way, so very similar to the original Kree look. And
So that's the one that they're referencing then in the new movie that they're doing.
yes, and a two-eyeball Nick Fury. So we're also going to explain how Nick Fury lost his eye, because it's going to be set in the 1990s.
And what color was he at this point?
He's still going to be played by Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, okay. No, I thought this was a reference to a comic.
No. This is the movie. This is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, now that Disney owns Fox and all its media, they, you know what I mean? It's like, well, we own everything now, so we don't need to make any more deals. We just need to finish up all the X-Men crap that Fox has already made and move on with everything. But that's not there.
See, sometimes I think I know what I'm talking about when it comes to comics, and then I have a 20-minute derail about what color is Captain Marvel, also what gender.
Still female.
And by what color, I mean like green suit, blue suit, red suit.
Well, the green suit, again, is because the original Captain Marvel's costume was green before it went to that red and blue starry suit that we're more familiar with.
Everybody does red, white, and blue. That's what they want to do. Like, went back in the... Maybe that's the outfits that I'm attracted to. I also have a curse that every time I commit to doing a cosplay, they change the design of the character like 6 months later. Like, I'm talking... I went and did a Cinderella cosplay that has been the same design since the friggin' 50s, and suddenly they redesign all the Disney princesses and add more sparkles and updated hairdos, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, the Disney. I saw your Cinderella cosplay. That actually looked very elegant and what's an old? I'm trying to think of old words, old dictionary words for like ye old times. Besides elegant,
that was my year of. I've decided that I'm going to make a big poofy dress.
When you are in those costumes, me being a guy, I usually wear a lot of pants stuff. So, and it's not so form-fitting to me. Do you find it hard to move in a lot of these costumes? Because some of them look like they'd be impossible for you to do anything beyond just standing and posing for pictures.
Cosplay is a blessing and a curse in that regard. It is it's a curse in that, yes, sometimes the movement is difficult. Say if you're wearing a lot of layers or a corset or anything fragile or not made of fabric or something that's really not meant to be worn on your body, as I see a lot of cosplayers do, then you can't sit or bend down, or you got to plan your cosplay design sometimes so that you can like I've seen so many Halo guys and Warhammer guys forget to put in some mechanism for sitting during the day, or even just taking the butt plate off so they can sit. And it's really funny because they'll just be standing all day and shifting back and forth in their feet by the end of the day. And where was I going with that? Yeah, the good part about that, though, is that it kind of weirdly encourages you to make friends. And I know a number of people in my life that I've kind of more or less introduced myself to as like, hi, I'm a girl, you are a girl that is nearby me and also in a costume. Can you help me with like my pants or my underwear or whatever problem, my loose safety pin? Does my wig look okay? And it's weird because cosplayers have like this unspoken bond between them, male and female, especially if you're from the same series or something. Like you're just kind of instantly connected. And more than once in a bathroom, I've asked some like a random passing Princess Leia, for example, can you help me take my pants off, please? Because I can't. I sometimes I go to conventions and every person I bring with me is a guy and can't come with me to the bathroom or something like that.
I'm gonna put this blindfold on and then come in.
No, it doesn't even matter. Like basically and then once you're out in the hallways, of course, you have to designate a handler, or as I like to call them, a cosplay Sherpa.
Yeah, I have a cosplay that I do that is a mask that takes up my entire head, so side vision's completely gone, and I have an eye slit that if you take your index finger and your thumb and squeeze them together, your fingers make this almost slanted eye hole between the two fingers, and that's how much visibility I have, and it's covered in yellow fabric.
Ugh.
And the last time I did it was at the Rhode Island Comic Con. I had my girlfriend with me, and I was just like, "I'm gonna wear this cosplay because I love it." And it's Yokai from Big Hero 6,
Yeah.
and the villain, the guy who controls the nanobots and stuff. If you've seen the movie, but I was like, I need you to hold my hand, or I need to like hold on to you the entire time, and, because I can't see in this costume, and I don't ever wear it unless I go to a convention with somebody that can stay close by for when I put the mask on. And I had my girlfriend dress up as she's not a big cosplayer, but she's kind of getting into certain things and exploring stuff more. Like she's doing a burlesque show coming up where she's going to be Tinkerbell. Um,
Excellent.
but the cos for the convention, she was the Black Canary.
Okay. Very cute. Very cute.
And she went all out with the everything, with like like the hot pants and the corset and the jacket and of course the fishnets. The fishnets being obviously the biggest part of Black Canary's costume.
That's why I
Um,
love when people give me a dirty face for being quote unquote scantily dressed. And it's like, do you know how many pairs of Spanx and dance tights and layers that I'm actually wearing to look this skanky? Like, there's not an inch of me that's ever truly exposed. And one of the like dance tights, for example, are the cosplayer's best secret. And if your girlfriend's not wearing them, she needs to get herself a pair.
mhm.
Nobody has legs that cannot be benefited from putting dance tights over top of them.
Well, I told her the next cosplay that I would love her to do. I'd love her to do it with me. We're gonna do be Mulder and Scully. So
Very,
something very
very nice.
simple, very easy. Like one of us will have like an alien blow up doll. One of us will carry, and we'll both carry around files with X on it. And be like the X files in our hands.
Props are good. Just make sure you have a plan for what to do with the props when you don't want to hold the props all the time. I dressed as Miss Fortune from League of Legends one time, except I did not have a contingency plan for the big, heavy fake guns I had to carry all day.
Well, we decided on a like a blow up balloon alien because it'd be the easiest thing because it's just filled with air and it's very light, and I can attach it to
Counterpoint, instead of a blow up alien, a UFO shaped balloon filled with helium on a string.
uh
Have it follow you around.
oh yeah. Okay, I could look into that too. I don't know when the next convention we're both going to be at together to do this at, because I have like two coming up. I'm going to be at PAX East, and one day of that I'm going to be Iron Chef America, which is basically Iron Man as an Iron Chef, like the TV series,
I
uh,
love creative crossover cosplays. I
and Castiel from Supernatural.
Very nice, very nice. I haven't ventured much into the crossover cosplay version of things other than doing a couple of gender swaps.
Uh huh.
This year, or last year, I kind of got forced into it. However, I went to Colossal Con in Ohio, and it was my first American con. Yay! And I wanted to go to Sailor Moon, and I fell on my face at work about 3 days before and developed a wicked black eye.
Oh, is that what your photos were about? I was wondering if you were like doing Sailor Moon in post fight or something. I'm like,
I had to adjust.
I was like, that's so cool. Sailor Moon got into a fight and she looks badass. She's not all squeaky clean and pretty anymore.
I wanted to be squeaky clean and pretty, and I did like shed a few tears as I was cutting up my gloves and sprinkling fake blood all over my outfit that I worked so hard to keep clean until then. But I liked the end result, and I found a like weird Japanese article online about how wonderful it is apparently, and the final line made me laugh so much. I believe you have guts and are okay. And I'm like, all right, that's a great review.
You also do one of my favorite superheroines of all time. It probably is my number one favorite superheroine, the Black Cat, Felicia Hardy.
Yes, I love playing Black Cat. It's a very comfy costume. It's very, very recognizable, but not kind of obnoxious. And I get to kind of make weird facial contact with cat women. And every
Yes.
time, like, there's certain costumes that I love, people always come up to me and they're like, "Hey, you're so and so." I'm like, "No, no, not really." Like, for example, I wear black cat, and people will come up and be like, "Hey, Catwoman." I'm like, "Close, not quite there." And the best example I had of this was I had just gotten to a convention. I had taken like 3 steps off of the parking lot grounds onto the convention grounds. Dude comes up and he's like, "Hey, can I get a picture? You look great." I said, "Thanks. Sure, you can have a picture." And I go and I pose and puts his arm around me and I'm dressed as Power Girl. He goes, "Oh, I can't wait to show my friends. I love Miss Marvel." And I just turned to him like, "That's not who I am." And he looks at me again and his face just falls and he just stops. He doesn't even ask for another photo and he just goes, "I'm sorry. I had one chance. I'm sorry." And just walked away. Like, dude knew he had failed. I felt so bad for him. I'm like, "No, you can still have a picture," but I feel like he was too embarrassed to continue at that point.
The current look of the Black Cat. I don't know if you've seen her lately. Before I feel like it ties into her story arc at the time because she was wearing her typical looking costume, the one we all know and love, and then she gets punched in the face and her nose broken by the Superior Spider-Man, aka Dr. Octopus, not Peter Parker. And then she goes to jail. When she comes out of jail, her costume is no longer so revealing. It's buttoned up to the top of her neck.
Again, taking away the fundamental point of Black Cat.
And I don't understand why, because I'm like, why the costume change? Is it because we're owned by Disney now? And don't say that's that because there are still females running around in the Marvel universe with
You
their
don't want to know
gorgeous
my
guns
theory?
hanging out. I mean, why is the Black Cat the exception to the rule? Is it because it's Spider-Man and Spider-Man has to be wholesome?
Do you want to
Just
know my theory for why we are suddenly censoring and changing all of these superheroes? It's because the world is demanding different heroes and heroines and in-betweens and such like that, of different colors and backgrounds. And we just too goddamn lazy to make new ones. So we just like whatever. Black Cat's now buttoned up and prim and proper and shit. Instead of making a superhero that actually has that characteristic.
well, here on NPR in the United States, a national public radio station that kind of broadcasts all over the world in different states, have their own version of it. They had an interview with the costume designer who's an Academy Award winning costume designer twice. And she's now working on, or she worked on, it comes out next week, the Black Panther movie. And she had a long interview talking about how she didn't want the costumes of the women of the Black Panther movie to be overly sexualized in any way. And that they wanted
Yeah.
them to be like battle body armor dresses and such. Because the Black Panther, for those of you who aren't aware and don't read the comic book, his bodyguards are women. Not that he really needs it. He's the Black Panther. He's an Avenger. He's fought alongside Captain America and fights Ultron and so on and so forth. You know, he's going to be fighting Thanos coming up. But, you know, as the king of Wakanda, he still has to have an entourage and bodyguards to his people. And
So
he
they're keeping the fact that they're women. They're keeping the fact that they're women of color. They are not throwing them into skimpy outfits because, like, it's not canon and they don't have to. And that's great. I totally, totally love that.
but I still find it really funny though that the Black Panther has bodyguards, even though his identity is publicly known to be, the king of Wakanda, and everyone knows that he's the Black Panther. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a Spider-Man secret identity, and it just always fascinates me that he still needs bodyguards for any type of public imaging.
Well, you could say that about any well-known politician.
Yeah, but none of our politicians, and I'm not going to name any in particular, cannot kick ass in any way, shape, or form. They might some.
Counterpoint, have you seen Justin Trudeau in the boxing ring?
No, who's that?
Oh, it's only the Prime Minister of Canada.
Oh, okay. Well, again, I got to stick to the United States of America. Uh,
He's a damn good boxer. Say what you will about his politics, but he can throw a punch.
could he defend himself from a terrorist attack if he was to be kidnapped?
See, we already got a guy that is in our House of Parliament who just recently stopped a terrorist attack, basically by himself, and he's just the top of security. And I wouldn't worry about anyone getting near the president, but even if they did, he'd probably be able to land a hit or two.
But I definitely think like the politicians themselves, with the exception of obviously somebody who's a world-renowned boxer like your prime minister, should know some kind of self-defense or something. I mean, the princes of England are all trained in the military before they, when they turn 18, they graduate from high school or something,
Yeah, but
right?
what about Charles?
I don't they all have to serve in the British Royal Navy?
Yeah, but Charles is in like what, his 60s now? Even if he is ex-military,
He's still a
not
weenie,
that agile.
yes. And also, he was never going to become king if his mom died. So
I think he's still online.
I don't.
Contrary to popular belief, Canadians don't know that much about the British side
Oh
of
no,
things.
I wasn't going to presume to say so anyway. But as far as I'm aware, I swear I thought I read somewhere that yes, he might be next in line, but I think it would succeed to his son based on his age. So I don't know. I don't know if that is, or is that something by decree of the queen. I don't
See,
know. I
what
don't
I
know.
do know is that the queen is going to live forever. You can't kill her. She's ageless.
That might be true. What's the next convention you're going to be at coming up?
I'm going to be coming up to Anime North in Toronto in May, the weekend after the long weekend. I can't remember. Let me check quickly.
And you should also try and come down here to the Boston Comic Con here in Massachusetts.
I
Yay!
would love to come if people would put in a good word and want to bring me down. Like, I would love to come visit. I've never been to Boston, but I have been to America a few times, and I do enjoy going to new parts of the country. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, that would be very, very cool if you could.
Yeah, put in a good word for me.
Give away your social media sites so people can find and contact you.
So I am on Facebook as Lily Spitfyre Cosplay, Spitfyre, because I had to spell it unique and be original. Yay! And I'm on Instagram as at Lily Spitfyre, same spelling, and Twitter, same handle at Lily Spitfyre. And I think that's about it. I'm currently reworking any storefront that I have or Patreon, so don't worry about that right now. But if you want to see more pictures, get in touch, see what I'm up to, then you can hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter for now.
I always forget to ask this question of my guests, especially ones that work in the geek world a little bit more than some of the others. But is there anything that you collect that you are a super geeky fangirl about?
Collections.
Do you read?
I've got a number of different ones, but currently I am one of those big Funko Pop collectors. Not like I don't have shelves and shelves developed to it, but I do have different themes for different areas. I've got a good collection of things I've cosplayed, like Elvira, Jessica Rabbit, Cinderella, Power Girl, and Sailor Moon, I think are those ones. Then I've got a good Game of Thrones section. Like, I didn't try and collect all of them. I just went for ones that are, like, involved in the wall, like Jon and Ygritte and Ghost and Sam and all that. And then now we're starting to pick up some Overwatch ones because I am just totally addicted to that game when I'm actually at home and at a computer. And now I've heard that they're coming out with freaking RuPaul Drag Race ones that now I gotta collect that because that's one of my favorite shows. So I just can't stop collecting these damn little Funko Pops, even though I don't want to have a ton of them. It's like, oh, I see my favorite character. I gotta get that. They never make merch of that person. I gotta get that.
And of course, you cosplay all these comic book characters. Do you read any comic book in particular?
Oh yeah, I've got 2 or 3 comic book shelves at home. Favorites include I'm a huge Watchmen fan. Like I've got a half shelf dedicated to just various Watchmen art and behind the scenes and before Watchmen and watching the Watchmen, and it's really kind of obnoxious. And a bunch of other Alan Moore stuff.
Are you reading the
From
Doomsday
Hell.
Clock?
Then I've also got a bunch of Dark Horse, Why the Last Man, Power Girl. I like Green Lantern,
Are you,
Justice League International. Anyway,
Lily,
yeah.
are you currently reading the Doomsday Clock?
Not currently. I haven't been able to get to a local comic book store in a while since I live in kind of the middle of nowhere, but I'm looking forward to picking up a bunch of new stuff when I go to my next convention.
The Doomsday Clock, since you mentioned Watchmen, is the kind of I guess official sequel to Watchmen, where the Watchmen's universe is merged with the DC universe.
Yeah, I'm curious how they're going to do that because I've got a book that details kind of like, here's what the characters originally were supposed to look
Well,
like, supposed to be referencing, and it's interesting to see how they evolved into the characters that they are now.
oh, it has nothing to do with that. This has to do with like the New Fifty
But I
Two
mean,
is
like, I know it was originally supposed to be a DC piece.
yeah, but the Doom but this merging of the two has nothing to do with that at all. At all, this has to do with Doctor Manhattan creating the New 52. Yeah,
I'm
that was
sorry that I keep sighing every time that you introduce some new piece of comic lore, but that's kind of my reaction now when I hear what comic writers are up to. It's like, come on, what are you doing
yeah.
now?
This is it. This was the big reveal a couple years ago, and they're finally doing the storyline now that Doctor Manhattan created the New 52 DC universe.
I'm a little behind, and I'm kind of waiting with bated breath, I guess, to see kind of how that turns out. But I
Art.
am. It was one of my first comics that I really loved. My uncle worked in a comic book store, got me my first job at that store. It was also a used bookstore. But I spent a lot of time upstairs in the comic book section, and did my when I did my first cosplay. That's what it was. It was the comedian, and I just like he. I remember him giving it to me when I was probably a little too young to read it the first time, and I didn't quite understand it. And then I read it a couple of years later, and I was just obsessed with it for far too long.
Definitely check it out and just see how the story develops. I'm not going to get in any of the spoilers that happened. You kind of get it from the covers. Like a big one is Batman meets Rorschach or the new Rorschach. It is not the same Rorschach as before because he was killed. And other little tidbits. Lex Luthor meeting Ozymandias. So definitely would check it out if you're a Watchmen fan. Some Watchmen fan hate it, some are enjoying it. I like it. I just want to see where the whole thing goes. So we'll see what happens. But thank you once again, Lily, for coming on the show with us. We really do appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.